Before the next session, I built a small section of the background and decided to swap the nugget coloured highlights for orange, as I'd actually come to prefer the way it popped. I began this session thinking about the water, starting with the waterfall and the splashes around where it impacts the water. I really struggled with this. All I needed was some simple triangles to represent the peaks of water splashing up at the base, but I didn't want them to look too uniform. I found it difficult separating the outlines of the peaks from the other line work, and I wasn't liking a lot of instances of colours being adjacent to themselves. Adding an extra row of plates helped a little, but I wasn't thrilled with the results. Looking closely at the reference image, there appeared to be spots of pink and purple, so I tested a few different shades, but felt none of them blended in very well until I got to lavender. This blended in quite nicely, but looking at the overall waterfall, it was a horrible mess, so I reverted it to more of the blue. Continuing the waterfall into the larger body of water didn't go any easier. Building sideways here just didn't look right. The highlights in the water were wider and flatter, so I tried a few plates with tiles on top, but I was afraid of it becoming a wall of white. Growing ever more frustrated with the waterfall, I moved back to working on the trees. Good old easy, reliable trees. I was still struggling somewhat with the shading. Attempting to follow the patterns of the trees in the screenshots didn't seem to be working out, so I decided to go it alone, sticking to a fairly simple formula that worked much better. After this session, I had another go at the water, with far better results, throwing in a mix of blues, whites and purples for the shimmering highlights. I wasn't quite sure medium blue was the right colour for the water. It can appear much more vivid in colour in screenshots, but I felt medium and dark azure were a little too strong. I'd also made a change to using more bricks to fill in large areas of dark brown in the mountains, as I tend to find that stacking several plates creates a slight bow in them. As the game's background makes heavy use of repeated elements, I decided to follow in the designer's footsteps and copy and pasted a large section of trees, which I then added a new section onto. I was a little more lazy with the waterfall, going for 3 straight repeats. With a few more mountains added in, the only elements really missing from the background now were clouds. I had a choice of building the clouds sideways or flat. Sideways would fit in easier, though I didn't feel it would look as good, and flat would look better but be more complicated to build into a sideways sky. If something's worth doing, it's worth doing right, so I opted for flat laid plates, using a combination of 3 different blues to create the first small cloud, which I then surrounded with bricks to begin working out how I would fill in the gaps. 2 modules in width is equal to 5 plates in height, so as the cloud was 7 plates tall, I needed to make up the difference to 10. I also needed to increase the width to an even number of modules. You can see as I fill around this larger cloud that it's possible to use a combination of flat and sideways building, rather than building the cloud out to be a rectangular shape. I had a minor dilemma with the gap here. The blue 1x1x5 brick hasn't appeared in a set for some time, and isn't widely available on Bricklink, but I wasn't keen on the idea of using multiple 1x1 bricks. After adding a few more clouds, I worried I may be building too tall, as the clouds were now high above the Eggman battle. I tried lowering the background, but didn't like the way the first waterfall appeared to flow directly into the first waterfall of the model. I considered moving the background over so that the waterfalls weren't aligned, but it was going to take a lot of effort to chop and change areas of the design, so I decided it would be best to lower the height of the clouds. I also lowered the height of the distant mountains, but this made them appear too tall and domineering in the scene, so I chose to reduce their size. Happier with the look of this, I went ahead and filled in the remaining blank space with blue bricks. It was kind of a drag trying to edit this section, so I'm just gonna... There we go. Something I still wasn't so happy with was the log bridge. The orange was far too bright, so I did something I never imagined I'd do and bought off-brand parts from GoBrick. I was able to get all of the parts needed in dark orange, and the quality is actually good. The colour isn't quite a match with Legos though. This is more noticeable to the eye, so I'm not sure whether I'll make use of the Technic bricks I bought. Before the next session I swapped a couple of sections of the background, as I felt that the trees in the background were clashing with the tree and platform next to the loop. I thought it was about time I did some building, so I made a start on the first section. Filling out the dark brown space with bricks definitely helped straighten up the build. I had to leave out the waterfall and clouds for now due to lack of parts. Sand blue 1x1 plates are an extortionate price on Bricklink at this moment, but I was able to order a whole load of them through Bricks and Pieces. I made a slight error with the colour here. I couldn't differentiate between orange and bright light orange on the cheap TV I was using as my second monitor. Other than this, it went together smoothly, and I was very happy with the results.